to Breakfast Central on another day. This time it's Wednesday, and we're thanking you for joining us. Well, hopefully, your night was indeed fantastic. For some, it wasn't a fantastic night, especially for Nigerians who are living in troubled areas, particularly regions where they haven't even had enough time to grab some sleep. And that's because insecurity continues to bedevil every single progress that's been made, especially from different quarters. But on that note, I want to say welcome and good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. This is Breakfast Central, and I'm Joe Hansen.
Hello, welcome to Breakfast. Wherever you're watching from, Minnesota, Sarasota, or Ojota, this is where we bring you the latest news, in-depth analysis and information on all you need to start your day right. Like the Italian Marxist philosopher Antonio Gramsci said, the old world is dead, the new world is evolving. Now is the time. Now we live in the time of monsters. I mean, all you have to do is just pick up your newspaper, look at what's happening across Nigeria and looking at the killings in the Middle East. Yesterday was the funeral of over 180 schoolgirls that were murdered in an airstrike by the United States in Iran. Very sad times for humanity. But we'll be looking at all of this and more in the course of today's show. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. I am Benga Aborowa.
Well, Benga, I think first off, we can start with our wake-up conversations. But this morning, we're also going to look at one of the very interesting wake-up conversations. It started off as a rumor yesterday. But then again, what started off as a rumor has finally, many have said, has finally happened. We're talking about Nigeria here before we go straight to the U.S.-Iran. But then again, let's start off with the U.S.-Iran war. I think that's a big conversation. It took Nigerians nothing less than roughly 25 hours. That means a full day and an hour the next day to experience that, the fuel price.
Oh, yes. I mean, the reaction was swift.
The reaction was too swift.
I got
fuel
petrol
yesterday
and I'm like,
quickly.
wow, I wish I filled my tank on Sunday. I should have known. I mean, I know I have information. I knew when the first strikes hit on Saturday morning, should have filled my tank there. At least would have saved some money for a week. Yeah,
I mean, Nigerians are complaining now because it didn't take quite long before you know it. Fuel prices soared, and it's currently selling for 935 naira to a litre. Some places have been so kind to remove 5 naira for people and just leave it at 930. Dangote Refinery had increased its pump price by adding 100 naira to it. So across board, everyone just thought, you know what, let's also increase it the best way we can. So you have 100 naira increase rather, and in some places you have 105. We do hear that in some states, it's likely looking to get up to 965.
I mean, it's going to hit 1,000. It's going to hit 1,000 anytime soon because the situation in the Middle East doesn't look like the belligerents are not de-escalating anytime soon. So the prospects are not good for the world economy, supply chain distractions, airline industry, tourism. It's almost like we're back to COVID again, the big reset. But there are not even talks of off-ramps or negotiations to stop this. It seems every other day there's a huge escalation. And I mean, it's not just talk. People are really dying. There are real-life consequences for everyone across the world, like Nigerians are feeling it. What happens in faraway Iran has consequences for the global economy.
That's right.
Let's hope, because at the end of the day, you can't shoot your way out of a problem. Let's hope they find a solution and this senseless and mindless and avoidable killings stop.
It's a major problem. Just to inform our viewers that as we start off this morning, it's very key that we also let you know that when oil prices become expensive, automatically transportation as well becomes expensive. So we're going to experience an increase in transport fares for those who commute from one point to the other. I mean, take for instance, I was able to get fuel yesterday at 9:35 from 8:35 that I usually get from. So if I were a transport, or printer,
you pass the cost.
I'll be thinking of moving the cost to those who will be using my services. There's also another challenge again. Shipping will become expensive.
Cost of insurance.
Exactly. Shipping will become expensive. So those who are expecting their cargoes might be told to pay an extra cost on them as soon as they dock or they arrive, because that cost would inevitably be added to what they will be going through. So the conversation would now border on, okay, fine, if we eventually get our products, how much are we going to add on each and every of the products that we want to sell? There's also the issue of fertilizer becoming expensive as well. Farmers will also feel it, because fertilizer, whether you like it or not, you also need to use this for crops, the agriculture aspect. And most of our fertilizers, if you look at where we also get some of them from, they're not here in Nigeria. You have to ensure that you import them, and the cost for importation is equally there. Then you have production. Because if you put everything together, when you have to produce, you look at the cost as well. So whether we like it or not, or whether you're at home watching us this morning, just have in mind that if you're one of those who say the US and Iran war does not concern me, you might want to have a rethink. The reason is simple, because whether you like it or not, it has a ripple effect on every single thing, predominantly on Nigeria, where we depend on oil and gas, and we hardly have productions that we export. Exportation has been a call that has been made from different quarters, especially from opposition political party members, going ahead to tell the current administration to focus on exporting some of Nigeria's very good products. Although this administration has mentioned that they've looked at exporting being gold. The Minister of Mineral, and they talked about exporting gold and so on. We haven't had the best of that yet up until now.
So, traditionally, we've been a monoproduct economy focused solely on crude oil, which accounts for over 90% of our foreign exchange earnings. And Nigeria is blessed with so many numerous minerals just wasting. And we also have services that we can export. So we need to look inwards, diversify. There's been this buzzword of diversifying, but it's just, we need to move it away from documents to real actualization. You have the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. They need to do more in encouraging Nigerians. Like, we just banned shea butter.
That's another thing. And then the president now came and said he was going to extend so there are certain things we can export. Cashew that is needed in the West and doesn't have to always be crude oil. And like you rightly mentioned too, minerals, there's a craze for rare earth minerals, which Nigeria has an abundance of because of the revolution in the electric vehicle industry and what have you. So if we're smart enough and if the political will is there, we really need to diversify so as to absorb ourselves in the economy from shocks of crude oil volatility like what we're seeing in the Middle East. And now that the petrol sector has been deregulated and subsidy has been removed, we will be paying international prices of crude oil. And this is just the beginning. It might get worse. My say in all of this is, it was all avoidable. Very, very, very avoidable. The United States' own Ministry of Defense, the Pentagon, in a congressional hearing said there was no evidence that Iran was close to building a nuclear weapon or weapons of mass destruction. Yesterday, the head of the International Atomic Agency, Rafael Grossi, has said that Iran was not in any position to produce nuclear weapons. And then you have politicians tell barefaced lies that, Iran is few weeks, few months away from making a nuclear bomb. And then you go kill people, destroy lives, destroy the entire world economy on lies. And we've been here before in 2000. It just feels like deja vu. 2003, Iraq. They went to Iraq on phony claims of weapons of mass destruction. We need to do better as people. It's the military-industrial complex. So many things. It's sad that kids are caught in the crossfire and have to pay for all of this. But
I mean, we'll get the experts
Yeah,
to review this in the course of our programming.
Absolutely. Well, we're just looking at the impact as we start off our wake-up conversation. We thought to bring that to you to let you know that there's no need to panic. The reason why you see the fuel prices going up is as a result of what we've been discussing with you in the past few minutes. But also updates as we look to wrap this conversation up and move to our next wake-up conversation. Let's tell you that there are updates that Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's second son has actually been elected to replace his father. That's what we hear as Iran's supreme leader after 86-year-old father was killed over the weekend. So that's exactly what we're going to tell you. But away from that, while you tighten your belts and look forward to spend more on fuel, let's also mention, like we did, that it will trickle down to other services and goods. It will affect food prices as well. So get ready. You may see slightly upward movement in terms of cost when it comes to food. Inflation, absolutely. But let's move away from that story and tell you another one. This time, let's tell you that they say when a taxman becomes the finance minister, wallets across the country sit up a little straighter, and that appears to be the mood following President Bola Tinubu's nomination of Dr. Taiwo Oyedele as Minister of State for Finance. Oyedele, who previously chaired the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, spearheaded a sweeping tax overhaul that consolidated more than 60 levies into fewer than 10 major statutes. Talking about introducing zero income tax for low-income earners and granted exemptions to small businesses. While the reforms were praised in policy circles for simplifying the tax system and expanding the revenue base, they also sparked public debate, with some Nigerians questioning aspects of implementation and alleging perceived bias in how the new tax structure affects different sectors. The president has, by the way, forwarded his nomination to the Senate through Senate President Godswill Akpabio for confirmation. If approved, Oyedele will now be responsible for overseeing the very reforms in which he championed at a time when the government is pushing to strengthen revenue generation amid mounting economic pressures. But let's take a look at the tweet that came from the presidency as well, making this strong announcement. And then we'll look at the implications, most definitely. There you have it, the SSA to the president by Ononuga stating that President Tinubu has nominated Oyedele as Minister of State for Finance. President Bola Tinubu nominated Mr. Taiwo Oyedele as the Minister of State for Finance, replacing Dr. Doris Uzoka Anete. Uzoka Anete will now move to the Ministry of Budget and National Planning as the Minister of State, her third portfolio to the administration. Third, number 3. In
less than 3 years.
In 2 years.
Yes.
In 2 years. Doris has not stayed on a particular portfolio for a longer time. This is the third. Well, anyway,
this is record-breaking, I tell you.
Record-breaking, I tell you. President Tinubu has today conveyed the nomination of Oyedele to the Senate for confirmation in a letter to the Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Until President Tinubu nominated him as a minister, Oyedele from Ikaram, Akoko, Ondo State, was the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, which overhauled Nigeria's tax system. Oyedele, 50, is an economist, accountant, and public policy expert. And then he goes on to reel his qualifications and his educational background. But that's the latest story. So for Nigerians, get ready. You do have one who chaired the fiscal policy and tax reforms. Now you have him as the Minister of Finance, and most importantly, one who would take charge to ensure that every single thing indeed works for good. Benga, let's see what Nigerians are saying most definitely about this appointment, and let's see how they feel. Excited, or better still, they have a different view.
Uchenna Okogwe says, let me assume you know what you're doing. Why Taiwo, Minister of Finance, is Southwest? So why is the Minister of State of Finance coming from the Southwest too? So there's no complete person, there's no competent person, I beg your pardon, in other regions. Uchenna is looking at it from a tribalistic, from a tribal point of view. Okay, this is my eyesight. Okay. Struggle to read from this distance.
Let me see if I can do this. It says Nigeria first. Oh, wow. Nigeria first. This is the problem. It goes on to say, when we just copy things from Obodo Yibo without knowing what it means. So when if America says America first, we too would say Nigeria first. How are we Nigeria first, please? Did I miss something? When almost all the decisions being made by the administration are anti-Nigeria, we still have the temerity to say Nigeria first. This post could have been made and ended without copying the America First slogan, when we know that there is nothing Nigeria first about anything decision we take. If we are Nigeria first, would we end insurgency? Wouldn't we end insurgency, he says? Wouldn't we stop kidnapping with the swipe of a finger? Wouldn't we ensure constant electricity? And above all, wouldn't we allow free, fair, and credible, transparent elections? There's absolutely nothing Nigeria first about this administration. Let's stop kidding, please. Thank you, he says. Well, I guess he's not too happy as well.
Senator Ida Haruna says it's shocking that Taiwo Oyedele, a man who headed a failed tax reform, I mean, he's already given his verdict. He calls it a failed tax reform. Can we have that tweet back, please?
Okay, let's see if we can put that back.
Yeah, Senator Idris Haruna says it's shocking that Taiwo Oyedele, a man who headed a failed tax reform committee, is now being promoted to Minister of State for Finance, while ordinary Nigerians continue to struggle with soaring taxes, inflation, and economic hardship. This appointment sends the wrong message. Failure is rewarded while citizens bear the consequences. Leadership should be about results, accountability, and easing the burden of the people, not recycling officials who have already disappointed. Okay. Ayo Ade Bango says, this is highly commendable. As they say, the reward for work is more work. Mr. Oyedele is truly deserving of this promotion, judging by exemplary leadership he provided in leading Nigeria's tax reform. So just a mixed pot of reactions there, some positive, some negative. But I guess the deed has been done. And knowing that the APC controls a majority in the National Assembly, his confirmation is as good as a done deal, foregone conclusion.
I think
so. We wish him well. I mean, at least it's a square peg in a square hole. His background is finance, and he will now be overseeing the implementation of what he suggested, what he recommended. So, it's like designing a car.
And you have
you're
to
part
be
of the engineers, and then you're driving it, so you'll be in a better position. That's one of the positives I see there. And I think it's too early for the jury to be out on his performance. We're waiting for, give it a year. Let's see what it does. There's also the argument that Minister of State, you have the substantive minister, and then you have Minister of State. Now, how much work do they really do as ministers? But I guess they have a way of working things out.
Well, some Nigerians are still not too excited about the appointment, but it's not about the appointment. Let's see what it will do to the Nigerian economy. Because whether we like it or not, if you look at the economy as it stands, we've seen the administration speak tough and loud about some of its antecedents, especially in the past 3 years. They've talked about how the foreign reserve, the likes, they've also mentioned how Nigeria has grown. They've also highlighted the World Bank and the IMF's projections, all of that. But one thing they haven't said is the impact.
The quality of life.
Quality of life.
On ordinary Nigerians.
It is only in Nigeria where in 2013, if you were working and your salary was 150,000, you are certain and sure as a young man between the ages of 19, no, let's just say between the ages of 21 and 27, that you'll be able to afford yourself a car. But today, as we speak, if your salary is 250,000 naira, you may never buy a car. You may never, take note, I use the word may, you may never get a car, maybe in your lifetime.
Cost of things are it's almost runaway inflation. So, it's quite depressing.
Exactly.
Honestly.
So we need to really understand when you say the economy is doing fantastically well, because this is just, let's remove the late President Muhammadu Buhari's 8 years, which would say the second term was abysmal, was in shambles, because it took Nigerians to a state where many had thought that when you now have the current administration, it will be able to reverse the lives of Nigerians back to what it was before the second term and the first term of the late former president. But now it seems like, have you seen now, for you to get a car as a young man, I mean, you must be able to earn at least a salary of over 600 to 700,000.
And more people have fallen into multidimensional poverty.
Yeah.
You have myriads of problems, insecurity, and the people just want the government to do the basics because they put themselves forward. They said, look, vote for us, we'll be able to fix your problems. And, I mean, not make excuses, but look at where we are today. Next year is an important year. It's a general election, and Nigerians will go to the polls to see if, you know, they'll score you, give you a good score mark so that you can return, or otherwise they will vote you out. So, I mean, the ball is in the court of the decision makers, the politicians, the policy drivers, to do their best to improve the human development indices and lives of Nigerians.
Absolutely. Let's move on to our last wake-up conversation this morning, and let's tell you about this worrisome story. Tension is mounting ahead of the 2026 National Association of Nigerian Students Convention, as former NANS sports director, the one known as Orisamolua Adekunle, has moved to clarify remarks captured in a viral video that sparked outrage online up until now. Just wait for it. Now, the clip, which surfaced earlier and was widely interpreted as containing threats of violence, generated backlash within student circles. However, Adekunle now insists the footage was deliberately edited and taken out of context. In a statement released on Tuesday, he explained that the conversation was part of a private political discussion initiated by another aspirant seeking his support, stressing that only fragments were circulated while the full context was omitted. Please take note with these statements of ours that we're making clear to you, because you will soon see the video and you will judge for yourself, okay? Take note. Now, Adekunle maintained that his comments were strictly issue-based, focused on governance, direction, and leadership capacity, and did not attack or defame any individual. While reaffirming his support for Comrade Opiano's presidential bid, Adekunle called for open debate and democratic engagement, urging aspirants to present clear manifestos and allow delegates to decide freely. He added that he would not be intimidated into silence as the build-up to the convention continues to expose deepening divisions within the students' body. Now, let's mention to you that this is NANS, National Association of Nigerian Students election. Maybe I didn't say that well. This is NANS, so take a look at this video.
If it takes time,
Okay, so what we'll do is we would ensure that our producers work on that audio so you could hear it clearly. What was captured from Adekunle's lips, where he said it was going to go to any length to ensure that, of course, the candidate won, even if it meant that people will have to die. Yes.
I mean, this is a student's election.
Even if it meant that people will have to die. And the candidate there standing said, no, now. It doesn't. He said, no, listen to him. That you should listen to him. Benga.
And they knew they were being recorded. I mean,
I don't know. And he knew it was recorded. He knew it was being recorded. Without trying to mince words, he has also come out to say he's a bona fide APC member.
I mean, by now, because of an imminent threat of violence, he should have been invited by the police to clarify his statement and to, because if anything happens, it will be on him, because he's made open threats to murder people. I mean, regardless of the political context, you cannot make certain statements. His excuse does not hold water. There are certain parts of what he said were omitted. You obviously said that you will go any length, even
Any
if
length.
it means killing people. So in what context? What context justifies that? Okay, so the parts they omitted, put it back and still let us make it make sense. So this is where, I mean, Nigeria is where it is today because we have a problem with dealing with people. There are no consequences for bad behavior. You know, somebody sins, commits a crime, you say to err is human. We saw Kwamwon, we saw the very dark man plane incident. Both parties that were fighting on that plane, as far as I'm concerned, should have at least 2 years or a year minimum be put on a no-fly list. And then you have this incident. A student union leader, a former director of sports or director of sports, threatening to use violence by any means necessary just to win elections for a student body. We're not even talking
Student body.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And this is, they learn from their leaders, they learn from the politicians, and this is the quality of discourse. This is the level of conversations we're having. Students, we should be the bedrock of intellectual discourse. It's not even talking about manifestos or how to, you know, to win their challenges in debates or better programs. The first thing you think of is violence. It's really sad, and it's a sad reflection of our society, unfortunately. This is what goes on. This are the examples that politicians have been showing them. So they're learning from the politicians. Just a few days ago, Joe and I on this set we had a discussion with guests on the sad incidents of violence attacks in Edo State. So if the elders are doing this, what do you expect from students? But let's take what Nigerians are saying on X. Emperor France says, NANS no strong again now. It has been hijacked by a greedy set of people who worship these useless politicians. If not those years, who is a security committee? Talk more, a local government chairman or governor. Essential says the DSS should pick him up and lock him up without sunlight for another 6 months. He says. Shola Hassan says, official attacks the DSS and the Nigerian police. Rightly so. I know you've seen this, but I still tag you. Yes.
Wenga, we've always said it here on Breakfast Central. We're going to say it again. When the national election is not seen to be done in a free and fair manner, what happens is whatever statement you make is being simply just seen as he was just making. Mm-hmm. You know, we've detailed this account last week. We talked about Iauchi. We talked about the area boys who had come out in 2023. They had their cane and said, if you come out, we'll flog you. We talked about the lady who bled at the polling unit because she was, you know, attacked. We talked about the street urchins, area boys who take over the polling units and threaten lives and property and tell people, you know, they will burn down, fire, brimstone, name it. The politicians too have made some very precarious, horrible statements, dirty statements on national television. I mean, that if I see you have an APC chairman in a state who said, I hate Peter Obi. If I see him, I don't want to see him. You have someone who, you know, what we're trying to say is...
it cuts across board and society. But just before we go, it's very important to mention this. Yesterday, it's so nasty that we can't even put it up and, you know, amplify such an irresponsible statement. Reverend Ezekiel Dachomo is very popular. He's somebody that, you know, is a leader of a church, and you expect him to be more guarded with his statements. He makes some highly insensitive and disparaging comments about Muslims, which is very capable of, I mean, it's like throwing a match stick into a keg of gunpowder. It's very capable of disrupting public peace and could inflame the region and cause serious violence. And you expect somebody of that nature to be more guarded and circumspect in the statements he make. I'm sure the DSS would invite him or the Nigerian police to talk to him, because we need to be careful, especially in times like this. That's all.
Just to wrap things up, we expect the DSS and the Nigerian police force to invite the APC Security Committee member, Mr. Dekunle, who has made this scathing and very horrible remark in front of the camera, saying even if it's violence, they will put the violence away. People must die, they must die. I think this is 2026, and people need to realize that whatever statements they make, they need to actually be held accountable. And this also goes to the leaders who are watching, the politicians. Whatever you do or say, like we always say, you are setting a precedent, because the truth is you will not remain in power for the rest of your life. Somebody will take over, and when they take over, they would bring out your playbook, and they would amplify it and even do worse. So you are leaving a legacy that you yourself or your family members will not be able to extinguish when the fire indeed, like they say, catches or burns, rather. So let's just drop that. But anyway, that's all we're going to take on Wake Up Conversations this morning. Don't forget, we're streaming live on YouTube. What did you call that? YouTube
Constituents.
No, YouTube. Is it YouTube manager, Olive?
Olive, yes.
She's not on ground today. Unavoidably absent, but she'll be back tomorrow. But let's not stop there. Go on YouTube, drop a comment or two, and let us know what you think about the stories. You can react as well. We'll be taking your comments very, very soon here. But let's start off with just 2 comments before we go to our headlines. Good morning, Team News Central. Welcome back, Benga. Enjoy your break. Olive Chukwemeka says, also we have Saint Mrs. Johnson says, oh, Olive is on break. Well, a short one there. Those minerals that Nigeria is blessed with that are being mined illegally, how do we make money from it? He's talking about what we talked about earlier. And then, Joe Benga, Nigerians are poorer today. It's sad. The NANS guy said he's an APC member, so nothing will happen to him. The APC needs him for their violence. That's what he says.
Thanks for your messages. Keep them coming. And, we'll talk to you soon. But let's bring you the headlines, what we will be discussing today on Breakfast Central. ADC faults El-Rufai and Malami. EFCC probe labels it selective justice. A Rivers State local government chairman allegedly assaults teenager over school photos. And Onitsha market traders kick against demolition. So today on Breakfast Central, lawmakers lash CAC, I beg your pardon, over poor record keeping. And we'll bring you the newspaper front pages. Remember, you can call in and share your thoughts with us. Breakfast Central will continue shortly.